Oh boy, guys, I'm very excited for this episode. This episode has been like 3 days in the making because I tried to update my graphics card and I ended up crashing my entire computer. And I thought that I was going to lose all of my stuff, but I managed to get it up and running. The quality of this video should be perfect. No more Paris trying to be tech savvy. We're not updating any more graphics drivers. Also, if you guys are wondering why this green screen is here yet not being used, it's because I bought this green screen obviously wanting to use it, but little did I know that the lighting where my office computer is just hot garbage, and everything, all the lights are so different, and I get overwhelmed when I try to set up my green screen. So for now, we're just going to use the green screen to cover the mess of my kitchen, which is right behind this screen, so you guys don't have to see that. Anyway, let's get reading this chapter that I'm very excited to read to you guys, because we get introduced to a new character. You know, you finally get to go to Altair HQ, so it's going to be a blast. Let's do it. So this chapter is titled, I Find a Talking Bug. I wake to the sound of my father slamming his bedroom door. I roll over in bed, staring at my door as his footsteps move over the hallway floor. The house falls silent before his car engine revs up, and he's gone. Struggling and failing to doze off, I lie awake in the darkness of the cold fall morning. It seems to be calling to me. I accept the call, sitting up in bed, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. My sore feet are chilly against the hardwood floor. Getting dressed into a pair of gray jeans and a brown sweatshirt, I take my glasses and clean the lenses before propping them up on the bridge of my nose. Opening my bedroom door, I creep into the downstairs hall, glancing out the window next to the boot room closet. It's still dark outside. Stars speckling the sky and a lingering quarter moon on the far horizon. Pulling out my cell phone from my back pocket, I glance at the time. 6 a.m. The sun should be up in an hour or two. My hand gingerly grasps the door handle, attempting not to disturb Mom. Stepping onto the sidewalk, I begin my walk to the park. Cars drive past, interrupting the tranquil silence. I plug in my earpieces to drown them out and listen to my favorite band. Strange to remember that I'll miss their new releases, so I make the most of this one as I walk. 30 minutes later, I arrive at the park. Gleaming frost lingers on the blades of grass. Making my way down the hill, I attempt to locate Ionia, extending my arm. Eventually, my palm rests against her cold underbelly, forming a fist. I knock twice. Silence. I frown. Trying again. Knock, knock. I cross my arms. Ron did say to meet up in the morning, right? I take a step backwards, shaking my head in frustration. That's when Ron takes down her invisibility cloak. The side door slides open, allowing the ramp to descend towards us. Up in the shadows, Ron steps into the light, leaning against the framework, and yawns. He's wearing a pink t-shirt and white pajama pants decorated with sleepy elephants hugging fluffy pillows. His hair is a mess. His arms fall to his sides. I hide my amusement. I said in the morning, dude. The sun ain't even up yet. Well, the morning is subjective. I usually wake up at 6. Ron rubs his eyes, trying to push away black bags. 6? You're a monster. He waves me onto the ship, and the ramp glides back into its housing. The door closes and locks behind me. We clamber up the ladder to the crew deck. The couch is covered by tossed-aside blankets and pillows. He has, however, managed to clean up the broken glass from the locker that I smashed open yesterday. I set my bag on the couch and sit beside it. Coffee break. Also, my mug has a llama. That's pretty freaking cute. Ron fixes his messy hair by combing his hand through the thick locks. His weapons still lie where they fell. The armory access panel is arcing, shooting sparks into the air. He ignores it and heads for the flight deck. Back in a moment. Need to restore the cloaking. Soon, he's back on the crew deck. I guess it's a good thing you woke me up. Time's gonna get all wonky when we reach Altair. How big of a time difference are we talking about? Well, the days on Altair are shorter. He rummages around on the dirty floor, locating his soiled outfit from yesterday. He starts to change. I stare out the window. One day on Altair is a quarter day here on Earth. You could spend a night, morning, an evening at HQ. It would only be around 5 p.m. here on Earth. Now that he's fully dressed, we head up again to the flight deck where he flops into the pilot seat. Godsonian Ulmu will be impressed I'm back so early. Who or what is a Godsonian Ulmu? Well, each Citadel outpost has a head honcho who calls the shots. Ours is Godsonian Ulmu. Trust me, he may look intimidating, but he's a big softy. I'll believe that when I meet him. Ron activates Eon and instructs her to set coordinates for Altair. Eon's seductive voice announces, Altair destination set. System checks in progress. Departure at T-minus 10 minutes. He gestures me over to take the co-pilot seat. Belt yourself in, he instructs. I do as he says. So, you ready? Absolutely. Eon's countdown begins. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're swept into the sky. I'm amazed again at the rate at which we hurtle through the cloud layer, and the darkness of dawn is replaced with the soft light of distant stars. Beginning the hyperdrive sequence. It's just like in the movies. Ionia appears to be sucked into an inverted hole of darkness, and then we flash past white lines and violet hues. I gaze, fascinated by the flashing, vibrating patterns visible through the viewport until Eon's voice announces, leaving hyperspace in 30 seconds. Once again, there's no real sensation. One moment the light patterns revert to inky blackness, and moments later, constellations appear outside. But not the familiar ones, like the Plough or Orion's Belt. These patterns are noticeably different. Entering Altair Perimeter Control Zone. Leaning back in my chair, I lay eyes on the mind-blowing Altair HQ. Ron claps his hands, spreading his arms wide. Altair, meet Finn. Finn, meet Altair. He waits for me to be amazed, and I am. I'd imagined Altair to be on a planet, but oh how wrong I was. The Citadel outpost of Altair is a planet, resembling a floating hamster ball. Holy cow, I gasp. It's the size of Pluto. Well, you're close, Ron nods. We both have a diameter of around 1,500 miles. You're joking, I say in disbelief. You'll find out, he tells me. As we get closer, I can see that the outer shell is a leaden gray and so huge that, up close, its surface appears flat. At intervals, the exterior is pierced by sections that look as though they're made of a glass-like material. It's the Death Star. Well, I've never heard it be called that before, Ron laughs. Eon pings. Docking control is requesting ID. Put them on speaker, Ron replies. Approaching vessel, ship ID, a loud, gruff voice demands. Hey, Ron calls. Club, it's Ron. I'm glad to hear you on radio duty. The voice on the other end maintains its official tone. That's Fender Club to you. These calls are recorded, so try to be professional for once, he says, but he can't keep the amusement out of his voice. Ionia Key 98, ID 492846. I brought a friend, Ron announces, and I smile at him. So, you accomplished your recruitment mission, Club responds. You know, some of the others won't be too happy about that. Ron's eyes widen. He gives me an awkward sideways glance. Hey, let's not talk like that. I give a concerned frown. It looks as though I'm not going to be as welcomed as I had imagined. Could that be because I'm human? Ron did warn me about it. Clear for landing, Bay 12, level 452. Godsonian Uma will greet you. Roger that. Out. The intercom goes dead. So, do humans have a bad rep? I ask. Ron closes his eyes, taking in a deep breath. Well, we aren't known as the smartest species. We leave it at that. I assume by the way his face tightens, he doesn't want to bother me with harsh realities so soon. I'm prepared, though. I'll be strong. There is one thing I didn't warn you about, Ron tells me. Because there are already over 30 species manning Altair, it'd be impossible to provide them with their home atmosphere. So, when we arrive, the first thing that's going to happen is we'll be led into a sealed medical chamber that's been set to Earth normal, free to receive a rhinometer. Which is what? I ask nervously. Think of it as acting like a very advanced pacemaker, but instead of being connected to your heart, it's connected to your lungs and nasal cavities. Why do I need a rhinometer? Well, the atmosphere of most planets is made up of a mixture of different gases. So the rhinometer analyzes the mixture and automatically adjusts your metabolism to compensate so that all species on Altair can breathe the ship's atmosphere. How? I start. Don't ask. I don't know. Alright, down we go. Ionia sails towards Altair, and as we get closer, I can make out multiple see-through plasma shields that allow ships into the numerous landing bays. It reminds me of filing cabinets, and were files about to be neatly tucked into place. Ron keeps his hands lightly on the yoke, ready for any last-minute manual adjustments, but Eon's AI lands us gently as a feather. We've landed on a metal platform. Ron throws some switches on the overhead control panel. Lights go from green to red and then off as Ionia closes down. He rises to his feet, scooping up my bag. He throws it at me, and it tumbles into my outstretched arms. Just stick with me. You'll be fine. Doing as he says, we exit the ship via the airlock. As the outer door opens, I find myself walking along an airtight tunnel. For some reason, I seem to be having difficulty adjusting my step. Ron glances at me, and a broad grin spreads across his face. I wondered how long it would take you to notice. Gravity is about 70% to Earth's, so be careful making physical movements. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. Makes lifting things easier. I suddenly realize that my pack feels lighter. I could get used to this. Ron leads the way, and at the end is an open steel door. As soon as we enter the new arrival's medical suite, the steel door closes and seals. There's a floating platform-like bed that appears to be adjustable for both width and length. Ron follows my gaze. Well, not all recruits are our size, he says. I guess, but this room seems surprisingly bare for a medical facility. Yeah, but it only does one thing, installing rhinometers. The main medical floors are higher up. At that moment, what I would call a robot detaches itself from the wall and glides over to us. It glides on 2 wheels and comes up to my hip in height. Greetings, humans. I almost laugh because its voice sounds like C-3PO from Star Wars. I can't do C-3PO's voice from Star Wars. Sorry. Please take off your shirt and lie down on the bed. This procedure will take 15 of your Earth minutes, and you will feel nothing. Not altogether reassured, I do as I'm told. The robot moves to one side of me, and I feel a slight jab in my thigh. Okay, Ron says. Put on your shirt. Let's go. But what about the implant? I ask. It's done, he says. I get off the bed and see that the robot is now reattaching to the wall. I look down at my chest and see a 6-inch incision scar that's fading even as I watch. It seems that we have a lot to learn back at home. Ron and I exit the medical suite through a door on the opposite side from the entrance and emerge into Altair's interior. The smell of metal mixed with sea salt hits me, but it's a reassurance to realize that I can breathe this air. I gawk in awe at my surroundings. The loading bay is noisy. I tune into the clanging of ship parts being replaced. In a side bay, engines under test whine like banshees. As far as the eye can see are solid walls made from sheets of an unfamiliar metal, doors with panels, and flashing buttons. That's when I spot my first alien. A small, fish-like being the height of a German shepherd. Its ultramarine scales blend into its uniform. It's wearing a Prussian blue t-shirt made from a strange material. It has a black band at the bottom, and a white hip sash tied in a fancy knot. In its webbed hands, it holds a tablet fitted with a laser pen. Another alien strolls past my right-hand side. It's humanoid, with feathered hair. Its face is tipped with a small yellow beak. It has 4 arms and 2 digitrade-shaped legs. It's speaking a language into its Jericho watch. At least, I assume it's a language, but the sounds it makes are unintelligible to me. Looking over at Ron, I wonder if I'm dreaming. He waves his hand in front of my face. I blink, allowing the reality of all this to process. He laughs. Just make sure you don't stare for too long. Nodding, a childlike grin erupts on my face. I'll try. However, curiosity persuades me to look back. They're so cool. Around us, more aliens appear, of all different shapes and sizes. Some have rainbow-colored skin. Others look like animals. Clearly, alien worlds breed an infinite number of life forms. A chuckle lingers on my lips. It's so crazy that we humans have no idea that this exists. On the other side of the bay, a door opens with a swoosh. Through the entranceway comes an alien walking with grace and dignity, much like the King of England. This new individual strongly resembles an overgrown insect. His body is humanoid with tiny brown scales that spread up his arms and chin. He has an oval face, 2 large black eyes, and a small square mouth. He has a short scut. His uniform is eye-catching. It looks to be made of satin threads in shapes of purple and blue. Frills fall past the elbows. There's a definitive twinkle in his eyes. Ron, I'm glad you made it back. His voice is high-pitched, keen, yet calm and pacifying. Ron gives a casual nod, looking at me. This is him. The alien looks down at me, and I have the strangest feeling that I sense admiration in his gaze. Ah, Finn Bates. I'm so happy that you accepted our request. This is no small task you plan on undertaking. A reply forms on my lips, but timidness stops me. It's all right. I know it's a lot to take in at first. I am Godsonian Ulmu, the ranking officer on Altair. My name is Finn. Nice to meet you, sir. Ulmu's gut twitches. Why don't we all go to my office? It'll be much more comfortable there. He turns in one swift motion and moves off extremely quickly. Ron is already pursuing him. I flip my pack as I normally would, and it flies into the air. Fortunately, I'm holding one of the straps and I restrain it before slipping it onto my shoulder. Lesson number 1 about lower gravity. Don't throw things at full strength. By this time, Ron and Ulmu are some way ahead of me, but I learned lesson number 2 by speed walking and catching up with them easily. We exit the landing deck at one end into a wide corridor and face a long bank of elevators. Wow, I exclaim, staring along the bank. That's a whole heap of elevators. Indeed it is, Ulmu says, but with over 500 levels and nearly 100,000 staff, you could wait a week for one when we're busy. Even now, service can be a little slow. However, as he finishes speaking, one arrives and we step in. As the doors close, my eyes are drawn to the see-through floor. A dark shaft drops away below us into blackness. Godsonian Ulmu sees me staring down. We're 20 levels above the Hotherium fissure core, which provides the power for Altair, Godsonian Ulmu explains. More precisely, we're above the radiation containment shielding which surrounds it. At the lowest level of the core is where our gravity control system operates. Amazing. Level 1, Ulmu orders to the elevator's AI. Level 1, a disembodied voice repeats. The elevator starts to rise and accelerates until the view becomes a gray blur. I can't keep the look of surprise off my face. Oh, yes, Ulmu says. The elevators are all controlled by gravitics, rather like the ship that brought you here. To cover so many levels, they have to be capable of moving us very quickly. If they could not ensure a smooth start and finish, you would hit the roof of the car as it dropped down and be crushed into the floor as it stopped. That's scary. I hadn't thought of that, I respond. My office and quarters form level 1, at the peak of Altair. They overlook the Oprea galaxy, Ulmu says. I look over at my new Godsonian. What else is in the Oprea galaxy? You're an inquisitive individual. You'll do well here, Finn. He smiles. Only Altair HQ and the native planet of Montai are in this galaxy. The Citadel attempts to remain untraceable by placing outposts in distant galaxies. Ron shrugs. Not that spawn raiders or this odium punk would be bold enough to attack us. We'd blow them to smithereens. Mighty confident, as per usual, Bates. Ron gives a smile. Our elevator slows to a smooth halt, and the doors open onto a beautiful blue hallway beneath a concrete archway. Ulmu leads us into his large, comfortable-looking office beyond. The walls are silver and totally undecorated. A sapphire carpet is soft under my shoes. A white desk is situated next to a large window. I stare at the vastness of space beyond. What a fantastic view. Ron plops into the nearest visitor's chair. It squeaks. I follow suit. The cushion is remarkably soft. Ulmu's chair is white. He sits. I can't tear my gaze away from the vastness of space as seen through the large window behind his desk. This is really amazing, I say in awe. It is extraordinary, isn't it? He says. Ulmu points to a door in the far wall. I'm privileged to have extensive, luxurious living quarters behind that door over there. Even after all the time I've spent here, I'm still in awe of the view. I'm also fortunate that most of my duties can be conducted from this office. Indeed, the hardest part of this job is to leave the office, but... Now, Finn, I'll start off as I would for any new recruit. He folds his 3 long fingers together, resting them under his chin. A soft smile lingers on his lips. We at the Citadel have a ranking system, much like Earth's military. On acceptance, one starts at the bottom as a fledgel, upgrading to Aster Bronze. When you pass the upgrade exam, in your case, that is where you will start, studying to become an Aster Bronze. Then comes Aster Gold and Aver Bronze First Class. Finally, Aver Gold. Then there are specialty groups such as engineers, researchers, medicos, and so on, but you need not bother yourself with them for the time being. He pauses to lean back in his chair. Upgrading is accomplished by attending classes. We have courses you are obligated to take. Other than that, you may add to your agenda as you see fit. Your first challenge will be to pass the acceptance exam to become an Aster Bronze. Wait, I didn't know I was going to be loaded with homework. I guess they wouldn't just throw me out into space without any training. You'll have your own quarters here on Altair, and you may come and go as you wish. With the assistance of a higher-up, you may even be permitted to join a low-ranked mission, depending on how you progress. The excitement in my face fades. So, I won't be going on missions with Ron? Ulmo pauses and laughs. It's a high-pitched, jovial sound. Certainly not as a fledgel. Pass your upgrade exam and become an Aster Bronze, and it may be possible if the mission is classed as low-ranked. Ron butts into the conversation. He points at his chest with his thumb. Shoulda told ya. I'm an Aver Bronze, bro. On my way to become an Aver Gold. Ulmu cuts him off. Not with that level of arrogance, you're not. They banter as a family would. Despite being told that humans aren't welcome, Ulmu and Ron's relationship gives me hope that acceptance is possible. Ron's not going to be your mentor yet, Finn. And I should tell you that if you can't pass the entrance exams, both mental and physical, your memory will be wiped and you will be sent back to Earth. Ron leans in, patting me on the back. Don't worry, you'll do fine. You're a smart kid. Besides, you'll have a whole week to study. Ulmo shakes his head. 2 days, actually. Here it comes. My heart is beating a mile a minute. If I keep up with this level of stress, I'll be dead before I can take any exam. My voice trembles. Do I have some reference works to study? Ulmo opens his drawer and takes out a thick book. Of course, Finn. This contains everything you'll need for your exam. He offers the book to me, and I take it from his hand. It weighs about 2 kilos. Is he kidding? I have to master this in just 2 days? I might just as well start planning for the trip back to Earth. Ulmu doesn't seem to consider the possibility of this challenge as he continues his introduction address. Once you become Aster Bronze, you will acquire all your equipment, including our treasured Jericho watch. I assume your brother has shown you this. I nod. Good. And don't fret. Ron made you pack your belongings for a reason. Time moves differently on Altair. He opens another drawer. One last thing. He pulls out a black t-shirt with the word Fledgel printed on the back. Then a small earpiece connected to a sleek silver oblong that looks as though it should clip onto a belt. I take them from his hands. Ulmu gestures to the piece of equipment. That is a universal translator. All Citadel-sanctioned planets are given translator to ensure seamless communication. Make sure to use it immediately, and wear that shirt so that other ranks don't get the wrong idea. Ulmo's eyes are alight with amusement. He looks as though he's turning something over in his mind. I stare at him, letting my own determined gaze meet his own. I wish you the best of luck, Finn Bates. I'm sure you will find many ways to surprise us. Ta-da! The end. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you want to read book 1 and 2 for yourself or own a paperback copy, just follow the links down in the description below. Lots of love. Peace out. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.